Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Daily. Glad to be here with you on this Monday edition. It is Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Castor alongside you. Thanks for tuning in on KFH. Perhaps you're listening to us at kfhradio.com for free on the Odyssey app. Perhaps you're watching us on our video stream, which is always available for you. You can follow the YouTube page. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Or on X, I should say, sorry. KFH Radio is the place to look for. And you can leave us your comments there on everything it is that we're talking about. You can call us on the IHOP hotline, 869-1240, which is brought to you by IHOP. And you can go to IHOP and try their new If movie-inspired menu flavors, like adding an Unbelievable Blue soda pop to your meal. You can also leave us the comments, as Ken does, one of our great Royals fans, who said there is a team reunion this weekend, and he just kind of a shout out to Salvi, whose on-base percentage right now is 402. Salvi's going to be a bona fide MVP candidate this year if he stays healthy, as is Bobby Witt Jr., and both of those guys helping the Royals to a sweep of the A's, which is what we challenged them to do, and it's what they did, Tommy. They get 3 wins. Reagan's Lugo, Singer, go. They take all 3. Cleveland does the same, so no change in the division. Doesn't quite matter yet. Just win as many games as you can. I don't think we're quite to that point. But now you get a moderately large series at home against Detroit, a team that's certainly not going away. And you're going to face 3 of their top pitchers in this series as well. So a nice way to get into the early part of this week before what would it be, a Thursday day off? Listen, we just... rinse, wash, repeat here with the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, it was as good of a weekend as you could possibly have scripted up for the Royals. I mean, a home weekend series against the Athletics that they sweep. They welcome back in the 2014 Royals to town. Got to see guys like Eric Hosmer and Ned Yost and, Alex Gordon and Lorenzo Cain, the guys that came back that were part of that. It was good to see them back in Kansas City. And it was good to watch the way that this team played over the weekend with the top of their rotation. And really, it sort of seemed to me that it was maybe the most comfortable that we've seen, I think, the Royals in their own skin, like embracing who they are this year, embracing that they are a team to be reckoned with in the American League. Not that they haven't been throughout the course of the season, but really back at home against a really good crowd at the K. It seemed like games, and you mentioned it on Friday, it was a series that we expected them to win. They expected that they should win all 3 of those games, and they went about their business, and they looked really good while doing it.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up. Do we have we seen attendance records this year or numbers? I'm trying to. I haven't looked at a game by game, but that is something to probably pay a little attention.
Yeah,
to.
it wasn't.
Right
it
now,
wasn't great early on in the season, but obviously a whole lot better, over the last few weeks.
So it looks like their average right now is just under 17,000. That puts them at 26th in the league right now. That is for the season. So hopefully that ramps up. Remember, I'm going to go back just for a reference here. Let's go back to 2015. Kansas City was 10th in the league in attendance that year. So, they have shown, and if you go to 2014, kind of before everybody knew, they were all the way down at 25th, and then I'll bet you it was high in 2016. Again, just checking, it was 12th. Yeah, so if they're winning, typically people will show up. So I would assume as the summer gets along here, their attendance numbers are going to go way up. Austin asks on our YouTube stream, how great is it to play meaningful baseball in May? It's great. It's fantastic. If you can carry this now to the summer when kids aren't in school every weekday, I think, Tommy, we're going to see attendance balloon, and I hope we do, because you have to reward ownership as fans. When they go spend this kind of money, you got to reward them for it so that they'll keep spending money and investing it. Okay, you spend money, we come to games. Well, you spend money that wins baseball games, we'll come to games, I should say, because I've never been a proponent of telling people how to spend their money. But I do think it's important to get out there when ownership does something you've been begging them to do, and that's invest in the team. And I know, listen, I'm aware that that's been a challenge historically with the Royals. New ownership, you want a new stadium, spend some money. Okay, you do. We'll come to your games. And I hope that happens. And I think it will, because historically it has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really going back to the way that they played this weekend, I mean, that's a great way to, I think, motivate the fans, to be able to come out and watch baseball, because it's not a fluke. And I think that we're in that same
Right.
that mindset that it's not a fluke, that it's not a one-off type thing. And are the Athletics the best team in baseball? I mean, no, not by a large margin, but still, I mean, it's a weekend series at the K. Beautiful weather for the most part. I mean, a little bit warm, feels like summertime, but a good opportunity to get out to the K and watch some really high quality baseball. And honestly, it was complete baseball, basically from start to finish in the entire series. You have to go all the way back almost 2 weeks, the opening game of the Angels series on the road in Los Angeles, for the last time that the Royals scored more than 4 runs in a game. And they did it in all 3 games against the Athletics over the weekend. They'd been somewhere between 2 and 4 runs basically for almost 2 weeks. And they put up 6, they put up 5, and they put up 8. And so that had been a question mark, I think, that we had been talking about for a
Huge
while.
Question mark.
How is the offense able to respond, and can they reward good starting pitching? And they were able to do that all 3 games of this series.
And let's look, it's the A's. That's what you need to do against the A's. They got a bunch of pitchers that most people haven't heard of. That's what you need to do against that team. Now let's carry it through. In the series against Seattle, they scored 2, 4, and 2 runs against great pitching. So now can you get it done against good pitching? They're going to see 3 good pitchers here in this Detroit series. Skubal is perhaps if it's not Seth Lugo, I think the Cy Young guy right now would be Skubal. I think there are at least 2 guys in the mix, certainly. But the Tigers got some starting pitching too. And so can you score a bunch of runs against these good pitchers now like you did in Oakland? I hope so. You get to stay at home, right? You don't have to travel, all that stuff. You see if it kind of as the weather heats up, if the offense can heat up a little bit too. They're in evaluation mode, Tom. And we talk about this all the time. The Royals are flat in evaluation mode right now. They should be, because they need to be out there on the line right now. Piccolo trying to figure out how to add at least an outfield bat, and how much more do you need? So, the challenge sort of went out from me for them to play Dairon Blanco more. And, what is he going to do? And I'm just going to pull up his game logs here. The challenge is being accepted in that he's getting more playing time. He played both Saturday and Sunday. And, well, he didn't really play. I shouldn't say that. He didn't play much Saturday. He didn't even get in at bat. So he played Sunday, and he goes 0 for 3. But I still want to see him play more. And he may not be it. I mean, probably isn't. But, evaluation mode means you got to find what you got to find. Last night in the game, in which Brady Singer was pretty good. We'll call it really good.
He was really good.
6 innings, 1 run. Yeah, we'll call it really good.
9 strikeouts. He was good.
7. The thing I've got to get used to with Brady Singer is there's always going to be a little traffic with Brady Singer. And that's okay. Guys do that. I don't think he's going to be one of these, nobody ever gets on base guys, but he's navigated it well. You look around the outfield, they still don't have much coming from the outfield. No matter who it is out there, they can't figure that out. So what does that tell you? Go get a bat. The other thing about yesterday was, Tommy, it's an 8-run outing when Vinny Pasquantino it doesn't start the game, but gets his at bat, and he had a big one. But I want
to talk about that for a second, because I feel like one of the things that we haven't done, and I don't think a lot of people have done, as the Royals have shown that this is not a fluke, is give credit to Matt Quatraro. And Matt Quatraro is
not enough.
He's pressing the right buttons, and Vinny Pasquantino coming up in the situation that he did, pinch hitting in that scenario, busted the game wide open with that 3-run triple. The first triple in his entire career. That was Matt Quatraro bringing Pasquantino to the plate to make that sort of thing happen, and so it hasn't been, I don't think we've given, or anybody's really given, Matt Quatraro enough credit for pushing the right buttons to make this happen.
I don't think we've given him enough either. I agree with that. I think he is getting credit. I've given him a ton. Listen, I've given him a lot of credit for figuring out the bullpen early, which he has. My next challenge to him is let's get Blanco in there for Melendez. That would be my next challenge on a consistent basis. But yeah, look, it's a day that Pasquantino is supposed to have off, but they need him in a big spot, and he comes in and he delivers. Great.
Yeah. And
right?
The other thing too, the other thing to keep in mind is that we've talked about the lineup. We've talked about, and I've been on record multiple times saying I'd love for Bobby Witt Jr. to lead off. Maikel Garcia yesterday did what he needs to do if he wants to continue leading off in this lineup. And the thing that I like about him, and he's been, streaky up and down throughout the course of the season. I still think that he might be better served a little bit lower in the lineup, but he does bring a certain kind of swag to his game that I think is needed for the Royals. And, he's 2 for 4, 2 RBIs yesterday, did what he needed to do in that leadoff spot. So if he can consistently do that, then yeah, I mean, I'm going to back off of my claim that he shouldn't be leading off. I'm okay with that if he can go 2 for 4.
He's on fire. He's on fire right now.
Yeah.
Maikel Garcia is. Like he's lighting it up at the moment, which is great. My point on Maikel Garcia is not so much, and by the way, he has raised his OBP now up to getting close to 300. So he's getting there, which is about where it's hovered though, right? He doesn't ever walk. It doesn't seem like he's had in this time that he's on fire, which he has back-to-back multiple game hits, and he has a hit in. I'm going to give you these numbers because I don't know that people realize just how much he's heated up. So he has a hit in 7 straight, in 8 of 9, 9 of 10, 10 of 11, 11 of 12, 11 of 13. So then it's 12 of 14, 13 of 15, 13 of 16, 14 of 17, 15 of 18, 16. I mean, he has gone hitless, Tommy, in something like his last 20 games only 3 times, right? So he is heating up. He's on fire, however you want to describe it. I'm kicking myself because I moved him in fantasy baseball, not because I didn't believe in the player I do, but that's irrelevant. The point isn't that he's not playing well. I think he's doing good. I think he's one of their better offensive contributors. I just don't know if his best spot is the leadoff spot. So saying Bobby Witt Jr. should lead off, to me, it's not a knock on Maikel Garcia. It's that Maikel Garcia is looking more like a producer to me than a table setter. And so if you slide everybody up, it sort of also then could solve your problem of how you protect Salvador Perez in a lot of ways too. And so if you go Witt, Pasquantino, Salvi, Maikel Garcia maybe can clean up then. Okay. I just think that rearrangement, I just want Witt and Salvi guaranteed to bat together at least one time a game, which is what this does. This idea does. So it's not a knock on Maikel Garcia. He has been really good, and a lot of credit to him. He is. Look, last year with him, it was like, who is this guy, and is he the real deal? This year, they bring him in. He's batting leadoff. He gets off to a good start. And you're like, boy, what a great development this would be to the season. Like, that was our big takeaway from like the first week of the season, right? It's like, Maikel Garcia, man, he looks really good. And he kind of slows a little bit, but he's back on fire. And even if he's a streaky hitter, put him in the middle, right? Protect Salvi with him. It's not a knock on him to say we'd like to see Bobby Witt Jr. lead off. That's a tip of the cap to Bobby Witt Jr. It has nothing to do with Maikel Garcia, except that I think he may be better served in the middle of the lineup than at the top of the lineup.
Hey, by the way, did you know that you can get Seth Lugo for the Cy Young Award winner at really, really juicy odds right now? I mean, he's nowhere near the favorite to win the Cy Young. He's 7-1. His ERA is under 2. His WHIP is under 1. He's got a ton of strikeouts, and he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 11th when it comes to the favorites to win the American League Cy Young. I mean, I think that there's, this thought that eventually he's going to cool off, and he might very well cool off, down the stretch. But I've got him at plus 3,000 right now. You mentioned Tarik Skubal. He's the odds-on favorite at plus 200, 2-1 odds, right now for Skubal Corbin Burns after that, Pablo Lopez after that. Even Cole Reagans is the 4th favorite right now to win the AL Cy Young. I kind of like those odds on a flyer.
They've got Reagans
Right
ahead
up-
of Lugo?
Yeah, Cole Reagans is 13-1 to win the American League Cy Young. Seth Lugo is all the way down at 30-1.
I'm going to get a piece of that. I don't know if it's sustainable. Right now, it would be a race between Lugo, Skubal, Burns, you mentioned. Logan Gilbert is probably in there right now.
Yeah, he's right behind
it's-
Reagans and Luis Castillo.
So Luis Gil, we can keep an eye on, but I would say that's a longer shot. But he pitches for the Yankees, so you never know. Eric Fetty has been really good, but he plays for the White Sox. He'll never win it. Luis Castillo has been okay. Just guys to sort of pay attention to here. He's right there with it. In fact, he's ahead of all of them. Quite honestly, he's ahead of all of these guys. He's had one more start than Skubal. But and Skubal's 6-0, by the way, with numbers that are almost identical to Lugo otherwise. His whip is lower, but their ERA is about the same. Lugo has the one more start. So, right now it's those two probably. I guess Corbin Burns and Logan Gilbert are the next rung, but of course Burns has the staying power. So the thing about Lugo is Lugo, go look at Lugo's numbers. This is why I couldn't, it's such a great move by the front office. Go look at his numbers since he's been a starter. None of this should surprise anybody. Now, did we see it at this level? Maybe not. But he's been really good as a starter. So it's such a shrewd move by the Royals.
And
I
he's
can't
striking
believe
out.
he didn't get more money.
Yeah, he's striking out opponents at a wild clip. I mean, go back to his last 2 starts on the road against the Angels and then over the weekend against Oakland. 12 strikeouts against the Angels, 10 strikeouts against the Athletics. And, he did pitch 8 innings against the Angels, but his 10 strikeouts over the weekend, he only pitched 5 2/3 and he got 10 strikeouts, and so he's getting batters to swing and miss. The accuracy is there, and it's not just a low ERA. He's not allowing a bunch of runners on base either. The walks are not there. He's only got 8 walks in his last 7 starts. So there's something about the way that he's pitching right now that, clearly, obviously, totally valuable, extremely valuable. But if you're looking at the way that you rank the Royals starters based on what they're paying the starters or what they gave up to get the starters, I mean,
Right.
there's not a better value in the Royals rotation, clearly, than Seth Lugo.
I'm trying to. I see him at 25-1 on one of the sites. Here's 20. I'm seeing him 25-1.
Like I can get him 30-1 right now. That's on DraftKings. I'm looking at DraftKings.
Okay,
30-1. I would imagine. I mean, that's going to go down. That should go down fairly quickly. Throw $10 on that, you can win $300.
I know. Let's go. I'm in. Look, I've got 50-1 on Salvi. What did you get Salvi at? 60-1?
Look at him at,
I think is what you said.
Yeah, 60-1.
Which is he's maintained that level, by the way. Bobby Witt Jr.'s are significantly higher. But yeah, Lugo for Cy Young. I always appreciate a good bet, a good value. I'm gonna take that right now as we're speaking here. Seth Lugo, and we are booked for $10. Let's go, Lugo. Get it done. It is, to Austin's point, so much fun on May 20th to be talking about a baseball team that you can follow every day. I have long contended the best fandom, the most rewarding fandom, and probably the NFL wins all of these kinds of conversations. But if it's not that, it's having a relevant baseball team because you get it every day in the slowest sports time of the year. You get to follow it every single day. It's amazing. Baseball, like Royals fans are going to lock into baseball more. They'll watch more baseball than they've watched in almost a decade this summer. If the Chiefs weren't any good, we'd all be watching just as much NFL, right? We'd watch it all anyway. It's not that way in baseball anymore. You need your team to be good. And I say this all the time, and I mean it. I am so happy for Royals fans to have relevant baseball on May 20th. I hope that the buzz catches like it did way back when. It'll take a little time. It's going to take later into the summer for people to catch on and jump all in on this. Remember, 2014 went through those attendance numbers. It wasn't 2014 when that blew through the roof. It was the next year, right after the expectation had set in, and that run they had through the postseason. I think it will happen a little sooner than it did that year because this team appears to be really good. I just wonder, as they stay in this, Tommy, we keep saying they don't have or I do anyway, they don't have the ammo to go make a splash move. But I wonder how much that intensifies. You can always make a trade, right? You can always go get somebody, even if you have a bad system like they have right now. I wonder how much pressure intensifies. I don't think they should do this, by the way. I think they should make a series of small moves. I don't think they should make a splash move. But I do wonder. It would help attendance, right? Like if you're talking about that kind of thing, a splash move is going to help generate that buzz. Maybe if winning singularly can't do it, maybe they would. I don't know. I don't think they would, but maybe they would, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to who's available and, what is going to be required to go get somebody like that. I mean, if we've identified, and I think everybody can identify that the major key would be an outfield bat. That's really where it comes down to. I mean, you look at, by the way, for all of the criticism that's been thrown at the outfield, the Royals might have one of the best infields in baseball from an offensive standpoint.
Yep.
Like they might be there for them. Now, of course, they're lacking when it comes to an outfield bat. So I'm not opposed to them going out and trying to make that happen. But I also don't want to give up everything for, to take a big wild swing at somebody that may or may not hit. So again, it's going to come down to what's available, what's out there, and what's it going to take. But if the expectation now, I mean, they're 10 games over 500 as of right now. That hasn't happened since they won the World Series last. If the expectation is we feel like this team, they've not been 10 games over 500. They never got
to 10 games in 2016.
They did not. They won the World Series the last time they were 10 games over 500. So if they feel like, okay, this is our chance, we've got to do this now, then you can go and make that move.
It is their chance. There's nothing we look at on this team that does not seem A, sustainable, and B, set you up for postseason success, right? They can run. They can starting pitch. They've got enough bullpen, I think. You can always add more. I'd like to see them add more. And we're close offensively to having a good enough offense, I think. You've got 2 MVP candidates in there. Could it use a little more depth? Could it use one more bat? Of course it could. There's nothing that we're seeing that tells us, this is going to fade. I don't think that's going to – I mean, obviously the unforeseeable things can always happen. Love it for you, Royals fans. You can catch the Royals tonight at 6:30, by the way, right here on KFH, beginning that Detroit series. More on that a little bit later. When we come back, Chiefs are back in the news. And it's again for problems in the offseason. What's happening here? Could somebody get the roster together and be like, listen, guys, we're trying to three-peat. Could you keep your wild religious beliefs and, things that are going to make people mad and stay out of jail and all these things? Could we remember that we're trying to three-peat here? What an offseason it's been for the Chiefs. We'll talk about the latest when we return.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily here on KFH. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Caster. The Chiefs are back in the news. Welcome back in, everybody. Thanks for joining us on KFH over the air, streaming online, video streaming online. The IHOP hotline's open for you, 869-1240. Always appreciate, by the way, Prairie Fire Coffee for fueling us up here at KFH and all over our Odyssey family of networks. Tommy, Wanya Morris and Chukwuebuka Godric, who I am not aware of, but Wanya Morris we certainly are because he's going to be in the mix to be the starting left tackle on this team. He is arrested on misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Both of them were booked into jail and released. Chiefs are aware of it, not giving any comment. Look, does anybody care that Wanya Morris is smoking pot? Anybody?
I don't care.
Crickets. Nobody cares, right? This is not that big a deal. It's only in totality, though. Like, Rashee Rice is far more concerning than this. This is not a big deal. Pot, people smoke pot. Okay, I don't think anybody's like the stigma of that. I just don't think it resonates really with people. But it's another thing, man. It's another distraction this offseason. You've got Rashee Rice happen, and then for completely different reasons. And I have no issue with Harrison Butker wearing his heart on his sleeve for whatever. I don't know that it's necessary, but, he can do whatever he wants. He's not endangering people. Wanya Morris smoking pot also doesn't bother me at all. Rashee Rice is the only one that bothers me. He really endangered people's lives here, but it's just another thing, right? It's another thing in this offseason. And I don't think any of these you could just say, oh, it's just because the spotlight's bigger on the Chiefs and they're the three. I don't think that's what it is. I think they're just like these things continue to happen. And you wonder at some point, a distraction's a distraction, no matter what. Do these distractions add up? Are these signs of things to come? Like, should we be concerned, I think, as we're observing the Chiefs? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? We got to win a third Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't care what they were doing. I don't care, how Wanya Morris and the other guy, who I'm not even going to try to say his name. Right. I don't care what he's doing because that's his private business. Like, doesn't really impact me one way or another. It's just a matter that he got caught doing it and it's against the law. Like, that's the problem. Whether or not the law should be changed or it is what it is, like, that's not really up for debate. I just am concerned about the fact that you've got situation after situation after situation that kind of piles on, and it adds to what has been an incredibly dramatic offseason for all the wrong reasons for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the only concern for me. I don't care how he spends his personal time, but it was a situation where clearly they broke the law the way that the law,
broke the law.
is
Yeah,
is
law.
written.
Whether you like
and
the law or not, it's a law.
They're in trouble for it, and it's just another situation that the Chiefs have to deal with.
I think the concern becomes if this leads to any sort of suspension from the NFL, right? Like, I don't think any fans care. I don't think the coaches probably in their heart of hearts care at all. I think probably there's a lot of guys on that roster and in every walk of life that smoke pot, right? Is what it is. I think the concern becomes, is Wanya Morris going to have to face a suspension for this? Like, is he going to have to miss 4 games for this? 1 game, 2 game, 3 games? We know Rashee Rice is going to get suspended for a while. Like, that's the part I think where you come into it. Like, Harrison Butker's not facing a suspension or anything like that. He didn't do anything wrong. Eye of the beholder. But as far as the letter of the law, right, or league policy or anything like that. But Rashee Rice did, and he's going to catch a suspension. Wanya Morris was arrested. Is he going to get a suspension? And look, they drafted a tackle in the second round who you could project as the starter by the end of the season. That's by the end of the season. What happens at the beginning of the season? Is there something that could happen? How much does that shake up your plan? Like, it's just these little things for the Chiefs that could add up. Are we going to have Rashee Rice to start the year? Like, if you're sitting in Brett Veach's office, we're going to have Rashee Rice to start the year? Are we going to have Wanya Morris to start the year? Do we need to go find another left tackle? You know what I mean? It's just like, it are things that could derail what you're trying to do, which is win a 3rd straight Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily, doesn't matter to me what he did. The factor is that he did something that was against the law. And so now you've got, potential disciplinary action. Will there be disciplinary action? I don't know. I don't know if that's something that the league gets involved in or if they care about. I don't know if it's something that the Chiefs get involved in or they care about, or if they just let the legal process. I don't know. I'm sure that this thing happens periodically. My point is that it's just, again, something else that you have to deal with. And I know it happens on every team. I know that you've got times where players are getting in trouble, and that's part of it. And I know that there's probably an entire department that the Chiefs have to deal with these sort of things. If I'm Andy Reid, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm going to try to get as many guys together and say, guys, can we just calm things down for a while until we get into the season?
How much? I know, because you know that he's annoyed by, the beer chugging antics of Kelsey all over everything, and like not annoyed, but just like, I'm sure he would prefer that his team is never in the news. And so you've got the 2 now probably most popular players on the planet, Mahomes and Kelsey, and you've got the Swift thing that you're trying to navigate, and you've got Rashee Rice, which is by far the most troubling. Then Harrison Butker makes headlines for 3 weeks and has become this lightning rod that's going. So I'm sure people have seen Harrison Butker's jersey now is the most high selling jersey, and that shouldn't surprise anybody because his intended goal was achieved. His intended goal. He's had blowback from the church. He's had blowback from the college. He's had blowback from the league, but his intended goal was received by who he intended it to be received by. And all of a sudden now he's got the number 1 selling jersey. That's all fine and dandy, except when you're talking about the Chiefs on the field, it's just one more thing now that's going to follow them. I'm sure that at the beginning of the year, every player and Andy Reid, the next time they get a chance, hey, did you have a chance to catch Harrison Butker's comments? Do you agree with him? What do you think about those comments? Which is stupid. It's unfair. Like, what does it matter? Like that those are his comments to make. What does that have to do with anybody else? But it's coming, right? So there's a distraction. Taylor Swift's a distraction. Like, all of these little things are piling up on them. And I'm not talking about these things being right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just observing that they're happening. And Patrick Mahomes' wife is in Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Like, there has been a whole lot of not football talk about the Chiefs this offseason, Tommy.
Oh,
I
and
would
by the way-
imagine the Chiefs brass would love if they would just be able to talk football.
By the way, you've got, by all accounts, your potential wide receiver 1 going into the season, potentially facing like legitimate, like crazy legal ramifications in his situations.
His thing is different. His thing is like concerning, troubling. The things that you're seeing are bad, and like there's no good. Like there's not a one side or the other. Like Rashee Rice is facing serious trouble here, and that is different, I think, than these other things we're talking about. I suppose Wanya Morris's arrest falls somewhere in between, in the sense that nobody really cares that he's smoking pot, but it is a distraction. But it isn't like the other kind of distraction that's happening in that. And I say distraction, not, and again, I just want to clarify for everybody. I'm not saying these distractions are bad. I'm just saying when you're talking about only focusing about one singular goal of winning a Super Bowl, they're all things that can pull attention away from that. There are tons of them with the Chiefs. And this happens to every great team, right? It doesn't surprise me. It's just one after another, after another, after another. The Chiefs have become this lightning rod. They're becoming more of a lightning rod. They're getting lightning rod events even when they're not trying to get lightning rod events. And they're distractions. I mean, we hear that's the old cliche in sports. Minimize the distractions. All coaches want that. All executives want that. You don't want distractions from the intended goal. That's not just sports either. That's any business, right? You don't want distractions from the intended goal. You wish that everyone would just solely be focused on that intended goal. This is not going to happen. And, now the Chiefs press conference, they're going to have a lot to navigate in a Chiefs news conference, right?
Yeah.
You got to ask about Butker. You got to ask about Taylor Swift. You got to ask about Travis Kelce hosting a game show. You got to like all of this stuff.
And you know what would make me really mad if I was Brett Veach or if I was Andy Reid is the fact that the Rashee Rice incident happened several weeks ago, the main one that everybody has, really been focused on. There have been other smaller things since then, but that's been the number one issue that's in my mind. If I was running the team, that would have to be like an all hands on deck. We have to figure this out and get this taken care of. So in that moment, it would make me mad if I've got other players on the team that are getting themselves into issues in hot water, legal or otherwise, where it's like, guys, look at what's happening with Rashee Rice right now. We have to dedicate all of our energy and all of our resources into getting this taken care of. We can't have you guys being stupid also, because now we're deflecting attention away from the major thing that we've got to try to get fixed.
But that comes with the territory. That's the problem of that job. That's not, I don't know the arresting circumstances yet of Wanya Morris. I don't think we have those yet. I'm sure we will at some point early this week. Don't know what the circumstances of his arrest are. Like, was he really like going out of his way to catch some, to catch the attention? I don't know that yet. We'll find out. Harrison Butker wanted the attention. He got the attention, but again, that's Brett Veach's burden to bear as being an executive. Like, sorry, dude, you got to deal with it. That's not my problem. And it's not the other Chiefs' problem. It's Rashee Rice's problem. But yeah, that's the point of this exercise, is to say there's a lot of things for a lot of different reasons distracting the Chiefs from making history this year. And you just wonder at what point is it like this is getting to be too much. I will say they have the most equipped leaders for this of any team currently by far, maybe in the all-time conversation, because of Mahomes, Kelce, and Andy Reid, and to some degree, Steve Spagnuolo, maybe. Those guys are laser focused when it matters, and maybe that's all that matters for the Chiefs. It certainly was last year. Time will tell. The offseason continues. I think the Chiefs would rather it just be done at this point. 869-1240 is the number to call. You can give us your comments there. We'll continue to bounce around a little bit as we make our way through this Monday edition of Sports Daily. Don't go away.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Sports Daily is on KFH.
Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily. Boy, I haven't watched an ounce of NASCAR since we used to try to pick NASCAR races on this show. And even then, I didn't watch any NASCAR. I just picked anyway. We had a good little NASCAR fight yesterday, Tom. Did you catch that?
I saw that. I mean, I have no idea why they were mad at each other, but I saw that there were some punches thrown.
So Ricky Stenhouse and it was Kyle Busch, I believe. Got into a little scuffle. Which is not unusual for NASCAR to get down back in the, in the back area and get after it when somebody, wrecks your car and sends you flying through the air at 1 billion miles per hour. I get it. You want to talk about road rage? Where do NASCAR fights rank in fights? Like if we've got, hockey fights, if we've got benches clearing brawls for baseball, you've got NASCAR fights. I don't think anybody likes football fights. I certainly don't because, helmets. I don't like football fights. I could do without. I don't really like basketball fights because of what, the malice in the palace. I don't like that either. But I think generally, if we're all being honest with ourselves, benches clearing brawls don't bother us, right? Hockey fights don't bother us, even though they can get very dangerous. They're sort of a part of the game. And then you have NASCAR fights. Where do NASCAR fights rank in there? I think baseball fights we like, but are usually the least the least actually something happens. I appreciate hockey fights, like when the puck drops and like the whole team just fights each other. Like I can enjoy that. I do always have that thing in the back of my head where they're wearing razor sharp ice skates and makes me just a little bit uneasy. Generally speaking, with NASCAR fights, I'm pretty good with it. Like, let's go.
You know
like,
what cracks me up about NASCAR fights is that the fights always happen, of course, after the action is done. So the race is done. They have to because you're in cars and you're driving. So it always happens after the fact. It's always like people kind of standing around. You got the pit crew kind of hanging out. And then all of a sudden there's like a fight right in front of you where like hockey fights happen in the moment. Baseball fights usually happen in the moment, like during the game. NASCAR fights, it's always
got a stew on it.
It kind of reminds me of like a bar fight. People are just kind of hanging out, hanging around.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden punches are thrown.
It's the road rage element of it that makes it so relatable, I think, for all of us. Nobody likes road rage. It's one of those phenomenons we can't really explain. We all get it. We all get the most unreasonably angry, probably, while driving a vehicle. It's a real thing. It's a real problem, in fact. And I'm not trying to downplay it because it is. So I kind of get why NASCAR fights happen. Like you're stewing, you're mad, you're going to go find them, and you've got like this road rage moment on steroids. And when done properly, I think that they generally can get things solved and be fine. Like you get it off your chest. Like you get out there and you got a problem. We're going to solve this problem. There is a simplicity to solving problems that way that obviously we can't have and you got to be careful with and everything else. But two people getting in a fight on the street like that, Tommy, you know what would happen? They go to jail.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. How do we do this in sports where we allow it? Like we can visibly see it. Most of us go to jail if we get in a fight. Like you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to just fight whenever you want to. But in sports, I guess in the field, we just are okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I'm fine with it. But it is kind of interesting, right? Like they get to just go back there on camera and assault one another. And they're not going to be arrested for that.
I mean, how many times have you wished that you could be an athlete just so you could have an excuse to get some rage out? Like I've been there before. Like
me personally?
Yeah. Like that's, like for me, there are times where I remember playing like rec league softball, maybe, 10 years ago. And I just wanted to get in every single fight. And I'm a fairly mild-mannered guy.
Me too.
It takes a lot to get me mad, but you put me out on the slow pitch rec league softball field, I'm going to trash talk. I'm going to complain. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do all the different things. And like, there were a couple times where it was like, okay, I got to calm it down because we're going to come to blows and I probably will go to jail. But it's something about being in that athletic mindset that like a switch gets flipped.
It's not even it's competitive. How many fights, if you have siblings and you've played video games growing up, I'm not sure that there's anything that has started more fights than video games with a sibling. I think in the history of all things in the world that have started fights, sibling video game matches would be number one. I'm pretty sure. It's a lot. David chimes in on our YouTube stream and said, speaking of NASCAR, look at what Kyle Larson is doing. Amazing. I'll take your word for it, David. I have no idea what Kyle Larson is doing. I assume winning lots of races. That's, again, no offense to anything. I hope that it's amazing and historic and all of the things, but I'm never going to lie to people. I'm not watching NASCAR right now. So, David, what is Kyle Larson doing? I'll look it up. I assume he's winning lots of races, which is really cool. I love it. I don't have any problem with NASCAR. I'm just not watching it. I'm not going to pretend like I am. But good for him. I did see the clip of the fight, though. That caught my attention. I have no idea who won the race, but I know that those two got in a fight back behind the track. I don't know. Why do we get away? Why don't athletes get in trouble for fighting on the field? No, none of the rest of us get to just fight out our problems. We get in trouble for that.
That's life.
I guess so. And just another perk for the athletes. 869-1240. We'll come back. We'll tell you what's on the network today when we return.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
All right, that's it for us, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. Regular Infinity Sports Network programming up until 6:30. Royals, Tigers on KFH. Bob and Jeff locally from 2 to 4. Stay tuned for it all. Thanks for joining us. By the way, Royals baseball on KFH and available for free on the Odyssey app. You can simply download the Odyssey app and search for KFH. Fun show today. We'll be back tomorrow to see if the Royals can stay streaking and more. For Jad Chambers. Oh, no, we will not be. You're right, Tommy. We're off tomorrow, back Wednesday. Shocker Baseball tomorrow. Shocker Baseball, everybody. Postseason begins tomorrow. We'll be back Wednesday. See you then.